Hello, welcome to the 13th lecture in second chapter of our comprehensive machine learning, data science and artificial intelligence course. Here we want to talk about second part of this thing, control structures and functions. In the control structures in previous lecture we have done this if, elif, else, etc. We will talk about the loops also later on, but first let us talk about functions. Now this is perhaps one of the most important lecture, and therefore please pay attention. Now here we want to learn this thing: how to define a function, how to call a function, and in next lecture we will do this understanding scopes. While these parameters we will do in this lecture itself. Okay, so this understanding scope will be covered in the next lecture. Defining and calling functions. First understand what are functions, or rather why they are so powerful. There is no programming language in the world which can become functional or which can be really useful without having the provision of functions. Okay, why? Because functions are reusable blocks of code. What is the meaning? That will be clear in just a few moments. Which are designed to perform a specific task. Okay, once defined, they can be executed anytime and as many times as needed. So once you define a function, then there is no need to do that repetitive coding again and again and again. You just have to call that function with a different argument. What is the argument that I will tell you? But functions will help you become free from repetitive coding. Okay, function help break down complex problem into simple, manageable parts, making the code more organized and easier to test. Now, this last statement is slightly advanced, and as you go on learning Python more and more, or as we learn Python more and more, data science more and more, then you will see that how this function help to break down complex problems into simple and manageable parts. Okay, and how it makes code more organized. But first, let us think about this thing: reusable blocks of code. Okay, which are designed to perform a specific task. What is meaning? Suppose I want to print a greeting to myself. Print, hello, welcome Tejas. Now, if I print this statement, then obviously it will print a greeting to Tejas. But the question is, what if I next time want to print the same greeting for another person, then another person, then another person? Will I go on writing the same print statement, changing the name of the person? So second print statement here, then third print statement here, then fourth print statement here, and fifth print statement here. You can see that this much code would be just repeated in every print statement. What is changing is only this name of the person whom you want to greet. So this is a fit case for defining a function. So let us define a function, def. Now this def is the keyword in Python. Every function in Python begins with this keyword, def. Okay, define. Greet. Now this is your name. You can give any name, X, Y, Z. Doesn't make any difference to Python. You have to just use the same name while you call the function. That's all. But it is helpful to give a meaningful name. For example, what your function here is doing, it is printing a greeting. So obviously you cannot name this zoo or astronomy or physics or anything like that. That would be completely unrelated to the functionality of this function. So it is better to give a meaningful name. Remember, you name it any random thing, it will still work. But this is a good practice that your name should reflect what the function is doing. Okay, this is called an argument to the function. So here name, I am passing one argument to the function. An argument must be a string because here it is to be concatenated. You can see that this is a string. So you can concatenate only one string with another string. So obviously this argument which is passed must be a string. Now this is called function definition. Okay. So again I am saying this is the keyword and it is always def. This is the name of the function which you can give yourself, but it is better to choose a name which is reflecting what the function is doing. And here this is the argument. Okay. Again, there also you can give any name, but it is better to give some indicator name. Colon symbol is required after every function. And when you put colon, and when you, for example, let me press that space. Now, if you just press enter after colon, then this indentation is automatically added by Jupyter or VS Code or any other good IDE. Okay, so that is how it is. Now, then this is, if I execute this, nothing will be shown in the output. Otherwise, here you can see output was obtained, but here no output is obtained because here we just defined that function. But defining the function is only half of the game. Now, if you want to call this, if you want to use this function, then you have to call it, and at that time you have to use exactly the same name here. So I have used name greet, so greet, and some string argument because here I want to concatenate with the string. So if I want to greet myself, I will write my name. If I want to greet Rajesh, I will write his name. If I want to greet Sarah, I will write his name. And if I want to greet Andrew, I will write his name. Okay. So if let us print this now. You can see that greet Tejas has printed hello, welcome Tejas, hello, welcome Rajesh, hello, welcome Sir. So now you understand what is the meaning of reusable blocks of code. So I just define it once and I just can call that function any number of times, anywhere in the big program. Suppose your program may be of thousands and thousands of lines, but I can call this function anywhere in your entire big program, and I just supply one string in the parenthesis and it will print the greeting for that string or for that name which I have supplied. Okay. So this is very handy. Now sometimes this is yet another example. Here there is another function that greet, again I am supplying some name, and here I wanted to introduce this. That is why that either you can concatenate one string with another in this manner by plus operator. Okay. But you can also use something called f string, and many Python programmers prefer this f string. So once you use this f string, what happens is whatever is the variable that you can just write as if you are just writing ordinary string. So hello Tejas, welcome to Python, like that. But in your mind you know that you are not passing Tejas, or you don't want to pass only Tejas. Sometimes you want to pass Sarah, sometimes you want to pass Andrew, sometimes you want to pass Rajesh. So ideally you want to pass any name. So therefore you are passing a variable. So that variable should be put in a curly braces. So like this. Otherwise this is just an ordinary string which is enclosed in double quotes. But inside it a variable is embedded, and that variable is displayed by curly braces, and you can immediately see that if I don't write that curly braces, then the color changes. So if I keep it this way, then this function will always go on printing hello name, welcome to the Python. But if I write it this way, now you can see color will change to black, and now whatever name is passed here, it will print this. So this f in the beginning and these braces will change everything. So please remember, this is also one way of doing it. So I can define the function greet name, and then I again call the function in same manner as I called earlier. Okay. So hello Tejas, welcome to Python. Then sorry, it should be below it. As such, I have defined the function and executed. That is fine. But okay. So hello Tejas, welcome to Python. Hello Rajesh, welcome to Python. Hello Sarah, welcome to Python. So you can see that instead of this word name, it is putting whatever is passed to it. So if I pass Tejas to the greet function, it will take Tejas here. If I pass Sarah to the greet function, it will take Sarah here. Okay. So this is one another way. Okay. Now here I can use Alice also. Then hello Alice, welcome to the Python. Another example of giving this word meaning. Functions are reusable code which are designed to perform a specific task. So here this function prints greeting. This function also prints greeting, but it prints a greeting along with welcoming to Python. Now you can the definition of that word specific task is quite broad. Okay, so specific task does not mean only one task. You can even make a function which can do bunch of tasks, and once defined, it can be called any number of times and anywhere in your big program. Okay, so let us take this example. Suppose I want to design a simple calculator in which I just write two numbers, and it should give me sum of two numbers, difference of two numbers, multiplication of two numbers, division of two numbers, remainder when first number is divided by second number, then power when first number is raised to the power of second number, then square root of first number, square root of second number. Then I can define this function this way. Okay. Now you understand the meaning of that word reusability, and now you will understand the power of functions. So if I define a function that math operations, and then in bracket parenthesis a and b, two arguments are passed, colon is absolutely required. I write sum is equal to a plus b, difference equal to a minus b, and so on. Here you have to remember I did not write sum because if I delete that last m, you will see that color will change. Yes, that is because that sum is a reserved keyword in Python. So if you get this kind of color, you will immediately understand that you will have to write another word. So I am writing SUMM sum. Okay, and then this function calculates all those things, sum, difference, the power, and everything, and it prints the results. Now, if I want to call this function, then name of the function is math underscore operations. As I said, every function begins with dash, but here you can put any name. But ideally, you should give some name which describes the functionality of your function. Okay, so I have given it math operations, and it takes two argument a and b. Now here I am calling that function math operations 10, 5, and let us see what happens. So first 10 plus 5, so that is this 50. Sorry, 15. Then 10 minus 5, so that is this 5. 10 multiplied by 5, so 50. 10 divided by 5, so 2. 10 modulo 5, remainder when 10 is divided by 5, so 5 to the 10, and there is no remainder. 10 to the power 5, so that will be 10 exponential 5 or 10 raised to the power 5, and that will be this number. Okay, then square root of first argument here is 10, and therefore I can see that the square root of 10 it will be, so that is this number. then square root of b argument, second argument, then it is the square root of 5, and that is the square root of 5. This is the square root of 5. Okay. Now get the power of this. Say if I want to use this for some other two numbers, then I can just write math underscore operations 4 comma 2. So if someone says that print sum of two numbers, difference of two numbers, multiplication, etc., all these things, will I go on writing print 10 plus 5, print 10 minus 5, print 10 multiplied by 5? Then next time I will print again I will write a whole list of print 4 plus 5, 2, print 4 minus 2, print 4 multiplied by 2. No, there is no need. I have already defined the function, and it is a reusable code block. And then I just have to call it with different numbers, and I can put any two numbers here and it will go on working. So you can understand the power of this, that it is just like a mini calculator. Okay, so now if I execute this, then it gives 4 plus 2 6, 4 minus 2 2, 4 into 2 8, 4 divided by 2 2.0, 4 modulus 2, that is remainder of 4 when 4 divided by 2, that is 0, and 4 to the power 2, 4 square, so 16, and 4 square root, so that will be 2, then 2 square root, so that will be 1.414. Now just go on taking any two numbers and you go on this. You don't need to type once you have typed once in your code. Just you have to call that function and go on changing the arguments, and you can get the sum, difference, multiplication, division, remainder, power, square root, and square root of second argument directly just by single line of code. Okay, this is the power of functions. Now there is one thing, however. Say I delete this thing, but the math operations 10, 5, and its results are here. The question is, what will happen if I change this math operations 5, 10? So my numbers are same, but I change the order in which I will pass. So when I write 10, 5, then this A will become 10 and this B will become 5, because in whatever order I am passing this, in same order they will be assigned to this A and B. But here now 5 and 10. So this time this A will become 5 while B will become 10, and that will make complete difference in the result. Let us check it. Sum will not change because B plus A or A plus B both are same, but the difference A minus B. Now this is A and this is B. So the difference is 5 minus 10, so minus 5. Multiplication will not change because it is commutative. So that means that that result is also 50. Here also it was 50. Division will change because here you were getting 10 divided by 5. So you were getting 2. Now you are getting 5 divided by 10. So you are getting 0.5. Okay. Then modulus will change because here 10 divided by 5. So there will be no remainder. But now 5 divided by 10, so 5 is not divisible by 10, so 5 itself will become the remainder. Okay. Then power, here it is 10 raised to the power 5, so it gives this number. Here 5 raised to the power 10, so it gives this number. Okay. Then here square root of A means square root of 10, so it gives this number. But now the square root of A means the square root of this. Okay, 2.236, because it will now be square root of 5. Okay, so this here, what you are getting, that is now obtained as the first result, and this will become the square root of B, and that is here square root of B. So this will become, okay. So in short, what I am saying is that whenever you just pass arguments in this manner, then the order in which you pass the argument is important. And the first argument which you pass here, that is assigned to the first parameter, and the second argument that you pass here, that is assigned to the second parameter. So if you pass the arguments in different order, then you can you will get different results. The question is, if there are so many arguments, say 10 arguments are there, then do I need to remember the order of every argument every time? Because this function is defined suppose here, and it has suppose A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H up to I. Say many arguments are there, and it is used after 100 lines of code somewhere else in your code. So obviously you may not like to scroll up and look in which order they are. Then there is one way out, that here you can change the order this way, but you can here specify that this is my B. So, and similarly here you can specify that this is my A. Now you will see that even though you are passing 5 first, but you are clearly specifying that attach that 5 with B. So this 5 will be attached here, and this 10 will be attached here. Okay, because you have explicitly told it. So it will be just like this, passing 10 and 5. Then also 10 will be attached here and 5 will be attached with B. Okay, so let us see if that gives the same result as this. Okay, and you can see, sorry, I executed the upper one. You can see that both are getting same result. So that means that it is allowed to change the order provided you explicitly specify which number is to be assigned to which parameter of your function definition. Okay. Now function parameters and arguments. This is a very simple but good diagram that if there is a function say add and it takes two arguments num1 and num2 and it returns num1 plus num2. That means it returns the sum of two arguments. Now this is also important to discuss. Here I have included the print statement inside, okay, but usually it is not considered a good practice. Usually it is expected that function definition should not have print statement. Remember that there is no such hard and fast rule. You can add a print statement. In fact, for debugging, we often add print statements inside the function to detect where the code error is arising in the code. But suppose I don't want to add this print statement, then what can I do? Then I have to put that print statement here, okay? And similarly, I have to put that print statement here also. But the question is, here my function, my print statement was knowing what are the meaning of these words because the meaning was just above it. But now my print statement is here, it is isolated, so it will does not know what is this sum and everything. So here I have to first write return and then all those things. What it will return? It will return sum, diff, mult, div, remainder, power, sqrt, square root underscore a, sorry, and sqrt square root underscore b. So it returns this value. So this is ideally preferred by seasoned programmer that there should not be print statement within the function definition. But when it returns this value, then who will get those values? So again the same things you will write like this, and you will say that these parameters are equal to whatever is written by the call to the function with argument. So now this is also the call to the function, but instead of directly printing, it will just return this value, and you have to assign those values to this various different numbers. And here again this order is important because this order must be same as this order. Otherwise that you will assign multiplication to different and you will assign power to division and all that problem. So you have to remember. Okay. So then let us first redefine, re-execute this because I have changed the function definition, but nothing will happen because this is just defining the function. Now let us call the function. Okay. So if I first don't write this and comment out that statement, and if I just then also nothing will be printed because that has done what? This function returned the sum, difference, mult, etc. and this line just assigned them to different variables. Now if I execute with the print statement, then you can see same result is obtained as it was obtained by when print statement was inside the function definition. Same you can do here also. That means these all are what? They are values which will be returned by my function. Okay, so they are the values which will be returned by my function. And this time I'm changing the order 10 5, but this time I'm making 5 10. But I want to get the same result as earlier. So what is the way out? The way out is that you explicitly name that this 5 must be attached with b. So write b is equal to 5 and this a is equal to 10. Then even though you are passing 5 first and 10 later, still this 5 will go to the second, and 10 which you are passing as second, that will go to the first because you have explicitly told it to do that. Okay, and then also it will give same output, you can see. Okay, so this is what we want to discuss. Now sometimes highly purist people, they insist that these two words are different, parameters and argument. They say that parameters are this whatever is written in the function definition, while arguments are what you are passing when you are calling the function. Okay, so then here for example these a and b, they are called parameters. Okay, but these 10 and 5, they are called arguments. Okay, so that is what it is. So this is a simple function add, and here I want to do the sum of two numbers. So numbers are passed as numbers are there as parameters in the function definition. There is always a colon symbol, and the function just returns the sum of two numbers. Now here I can call that function add 5 4, but that will not print anything because there is no print statement inside the function. So I have to assign this whatever the function returns to a new variable sum1, and then obviously I have to add one line also, print sum1. So then only it will print the sum. Okay, so this what I am passing 5 and 4, they are called argument, and this what are there inside the function definition, they are called parameters. Okay, so that is one more thing. Now here types of parameters. So there are two types of parameters. Some are called positional parameters. So there the value is assigned based on their position. Okay, that I have already explained this thing. For example, here if you just write, you don't assign it this way, then we know that if you change the order, then whole result will be different because this 10 will be assigned to first and this 5 will be assigned to second, because that is how they are positioned as parameters and that is how you are passing them as arguments. and here this 5 will be assigned to A, and this 10 will be assigned to B. So this type of arguments, they are called positional arguments, positional, and they give different answers. Okay, but there are other type of arguments which are called keyword argument. So this is one such example again, that this is a simple function. Here it is an example of positional argument, this first one. Okay, about keyword we will talk later on. So def describes pet, animal type, and pet name. So this function actually describes the pet, the type of animal you have to pass, whether your pet is a cat or a dog or a frog or a snake or whatever you want to keep as pet, and whatever the name you have given in affection to that pet. Okay, then it will print that I have a, here it will print cat or dog or snake or whatever, and here it will print the affectionate name of that pet. Okay, for example, this is a function which is defined. I have just executed, but that does not do anything. It does not even print it because that print statement is inside the function definition. Okay, it will print when I call it. Okay, so describe pet, that is my function, and I pass two arguments. And here this you can see as string is again used. So that means that these two arguments must be stringed. So I am passing hamster. I am making a hamster as a pet, and I have affectionately called it Harry. So describe pet whose animal type is hamster and whose pet name is Harry. So I have a hamster named Harry. That means when you don't assign any value, then first is passed to first, hamster is passed to animal type, and second is passed to second. So Harry is passed to pet name, and that is how they are printed. Now the question is it compulsory to maintain the order or something? Then no, we have seen that you can call the function along with your parameter name. So now this pet name is the second parameter, but I want to pass it first. So pass it first, no problem, but specify clearly that you are passing pet name. So pet name equals doggy. So you are actually calling your dog affectionately doggy, and animal type is equal to dog. So this would be assigned a dog, and then you can, I have a dog named doggy. Okay, so that is how this will go. This is not applicable here, but this is applicable to the next. Now sometimes you can put a default parameter also. So that means what I'm saying is that you can write same describe pet name, and animal type is equal to dog. So I have same function is there, animal type, name the pet name. But the advantage with this default parameter which is assigned in the function definition itself is that now if the user does not supply any second argument, user has to supply pet name and user has to supply animal type. But if the user does not supply any second argument, still it will default to the value which is defined in the function definition. So that means if I'm saying I'm calling this function, first let me define only that function. So here I will just define, so nothing will be printed. The print statement inside the function definition is will not print anything, but when I call the function, then it will print. Okay. Now I call the function describe pet. Actually, it requires two arguments, pet name and animal type, but I am passing only the one argument, so it will automatically assign to the one which has no default value. But where is the second argument? No second argument is there. Then in animal type, it will take it to default dog. Okay. So I have a dog named Rex, and you can just go on changing the name, but every time it will go on using the same animal type dog. So if you are using, if you know right from the beginning, you are programming a app for maybe some dog training institute, then you know that animal type is always going to remain dog only. So then you can put such default, and the user can just keep on passing different names. That Rex, instead of that, he can pass Tom. So it will print I have a dog named Tom. If you can pass Bobby, then it will say I have a dog named Bobby, and so on. Okay. So that was about function, parameters, arguments, and then keyword argument and default argument. Okay. The topic of function is so vast that we will have to go on discussing it again and again. So don't think that this is the beginning and end of discussion about functions. Wherever any complex function will be used in the code, throughout the entire course, I will discuss what the function is. But this lays down the core foundation. Thank you.